Will We Talk?
Welcome everyone to a new episode of Will We Talk. We have got Ellur joining us in about 15 minutes time on the pod. She's an amazing singer-songwriter. She'll be joining us to talk about her 2024. But the panel join us now, and it can be a mixture of, well, musicians to interviewers to podcasters to everything in between. We've got a lovely old panel over here. We got Alex from Before and After. How are you, mate? You all right?
Good, mate, yeah. You?
Tell us a little bit about Before and After.
So, started it off in uni. It was more of like a little idea, just a little side project. And I finished uni, I got bored of roofing. So I was like, right, I need to get my teeth into something. So the whole idea is we put on artists, bands, interview them around soundcheck time, right before the gig, and then get a lot of footage of the gig, the crowd, and then straight away when we're off stage, when we're all sweaty and horrible, we'll get interviewing again. So you get the real feel of the night. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
That sounds class. Well, someone who can tell us about that, what that might feel like, Kaiden Nolan joins us. Singer-songwriter at the minute, but previously in other bands. How would you describe where you are at the minute in terms of your career, Kaiden? How are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm fantastic, Joel. Thank you for having me here, first of all. It's an absolute
Always,
pleasure. So I'm a funk indie solo artist. Touring up and down the country this year. Got my first EP coming out this year. For this solo, I was in a band before with school friends called Scuttlers.
Yeah.
We did really well, and then after I finished university, I decided it was best for me to take the route of solo artist. Met a lot of great musicians who are now my band. We play under my name, and yeah, things are good, mate. It's a good life. It's a good life.
How was that solo transition when you went for it for yourself? How was that?
It was scary, daunting, to be honest, because I sort of had it niggling in me for a while anyway, the feeling. I just got to the point where I just had to make the decision.
Yeah.
And it was like shaky leg, this is daunting. We signed to a label over in Australia. There was a lot that I was leaving behind, but I just knew that it was the best decision for me. And I've been proved right. Things are good. We've got festival slots and stuff, and the band's happy, I'm happy, my heart's happy, and yeah, that's it.
Did your music change at all?
Over lockdown, it did. I was listening to a lot of funk music.
Yeah, because I was going to pick you up on that, because you mentioned funk in one of your genres, and I was like, right, okay, is that new towards what you write now?
Definitely. I've always obviously grew up living in Manchester with the Oasis, Stone Roses, and so grateful to do so. It's a massive influence on what I do. But then as you grow and your music influences change, the music you listen to changes. I started getting into a lot of dance music. I make dance music on the side as well as like a side project. And
a different alias for that.
Yeah, Pergonomics it's called.
Oh, cool.
I've only got a few tunes out, but I realised that I was spreading myself too thin with it, so I'm focusing on the solo career now. Maybe after this EP, I'll focus on the house music EP, but one at a time, instead of just getting too stressed. But yeah, so at the minute, I'd say at my core, I'm an indie rock and roll writer, just with sort of funk infusion of them 70s American chic, sort of Sylvester infused. It's good, mate. It's good.
That's class.
Very fun to make,
Yeah, I can imagine so. Well, thank you very much for joining us both here. Let's get into some of our biggest talking points of the day. One of them is always about our earworm of the week, which you think is the biggest song you've listened to this week. So it's your own mini chart show. Alex, What have you been listening to? Give us an overall view, and what do you think your song is at number one?
To be honest with you, at the moment, I've had this song on repeat. It's called by Folly Group.
Yeah.
But No Rifle, the song.
But No Rifle.
It's cool as fuck.
Tell why? What is it?
It's just it's like a punky kind of offbeat sort of. It's mint. But I'm well into my punk, and I think there's a lot of good stuff happening in Manchester with that at the moment.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like a nice punk scene still murmuring away, or is there new stuff?
Like Marouge are absolutely flying. They've got a lot of punk influences in there. Duvet, Def, they're smashing it. So there's a good scene. There's a good punk scene at the moment. But from my kind of shuffling and whatever, this track just came up and it just it's just got in my head, man.
Give it a listen. We'll make sure there's a link to that in the link below. I forgot what that says. Kaiden, for yourself, what are you thinking?
My earworm of the week, Joel, would be. Have you heard of Madame Claude?
No, who's that?
Madame Claude, the band in which I share my studio with in Manchester. Some of my best mates. They're like a ska punk band.
Class.
Yeah, cool as. You'll have to get him on here.
Yeah,
I'll link his up.
100%.
Yeah, and what's the tune called now? I would do anything. A Part of Your Show, it's called.
Yeah.
It's like ska produced, like fresh out the box, like just totally different. The tunes just, it's a love song, but yeah, it's beautiful and it's a groove and yeah, big
I'm
up.
intrigued.
Yeah,
I'm
big up,
intrigued
man.
by
it.
Mate,
Yeah.
man, they've just sold out Pink Room over
Brilliant.
Christmas.
What a
You
great
should see
room.
the live shows, mate. It's stupid. It's
And it's
stupid.
phenomenal. Did you know them before the studio get together, or do you
Mate,
sort of like?
literally one of my first solo gigs post Scuttlers, I did an acoustic set supporting Danny Mann at Night and Day.
Yeah.
Big up Danny Mann as well.
I haven't heard of him in ages.
Yeah, I know, man. He's a good friend of mine. Like, he's a good friend of the family and stuff. He's like a heart as good as gold, Danny. And I hope to see him live again soon. Anyway, I'm supporting him, and Madam Claude are playing as well. And I just met him, like, do the handshake. How's it going, lads? What do you do? And all that stuff. And I was running my studio on my own and was sort of half thinking about getting another band in to share it, but I also wanted to be like good friends with them and it not be awkward. 'Cause sometimes
Yeah,
it can be
yeah.
with each other's stuff and that. And I wanted to avoid that, and we ended up, me and Frank and Charlie's the bassist, Frank is the lead singer. We ended up just getting really good friends, and it was like, would we'd be interested in sharing a studio with you? And then it just blossomed from then. And then sometimes if one of my band members can't do one of my gigs, they come and do mine and vice versa and stuff. It's cool, man.
Quality.
Nice.
We're all just really nice lads. And
Happy days.
yeah, it's good. It's good.
That's class. Right, let's get on to some of the biggest talking points of the week. And there's only one really big one that we're gonna address, and just your own opinions and thoughts on this. And remember, that's what it's about here. I'm going to talk about The Last Dinner Party, who are a group that I brought out on Friday. You'll be watching this in the week. Their first debut album, and there's been a lot of talk and a lot of murmurings about certain bands of the past 4 or 5 years becoming what is the term as industry plants. Now, working in the podcast field as well, you do get these industry plant kind of, oh, this podcast is by an industry plant. And it's sort of a term that is, well, what do you make of the word industry plant, Alex? Can you sum it up?
It's just someone who's just kind of popped up all of a sudden with
Yeah.
a lot of funding and all, like you say, you're doing like these world tours out of nowhere, and how did they get to that point? And I think it's, I don't know, it's a bit of a bad term, because sometimes an artist could be doing so well and you just don't know about it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
someone like an A&R comes along, and then, do you know what I mean? And then a label comes along to kind of boost them up and gives them the backing that they think they deserve. But it's one of them, it gets thrown about a bit, like Fred again. Someone said yesterday that Fred again was an industry plant. It's like, that is bullshit.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
It is bullshit.
You can
he's
tell.
been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Like, I think it was like for the past year, like 2 years, he produced like 5 of the top 10 tracks.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Really? Well, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
so it's like, and then all of a sudden his solo stuff kind of came out of nowhere, and then it was like, oh, I've not heard of him. Well, he's been in the scene.
Yeah,
He's
of course.
been behind the scenes. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of them, innit? It's a bit of a weird one, but
It's an odd phrase.
Yeah, it is.
I'm very intrigued by it, and that's why I wanted to bring it up and just see what you think of it. Kaiden, an industry plant where you might see like bands or artists just rise up and often be on sort of support slots and etc. and have tunes out with different people. Do you think that it's a thing, or do you think it's in a different way?
I think there's variables to it. I think money, if you've got like financial backing from the off, I think that helps a lot. It can put you
Yeah.
in places that hard work would take a lot longer to do, in terms of like PR pushes and stuff. I don't know. I feel there's obviously a reason you can't be like absolutely terrible and be industry
Yeah.
planted.
Yeah.
You know, this I haven't heard this Last Dinner Party. I imagine it's like an indie sort of thing.
Yeah, an indie girl group. They've got a couple of
Right.
tunes that are doing really well on TikTok, which often helps.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And they're playing, like, for example, they announced a tour along with the album, and that's a tour, Victoria Warehouse, and they're looking to sell
Wow.
out. So they're playing decent venues already.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help but see all of the industry plant comments everywhere.
Wow. I think
everywhere.
it's definitely got to be a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think if it might be someone you know, it'd just be like, right, we'll get them to the front of the queue. Sound.
Yeah,
All the
yeah,
best
yeah.
to you. See you later. And I don't know. I think it's definitely harder to be unique in today's current musical climate, especially on. Well, I think on the rap side and the sort of indie side, and you know, you have to. I feel as if like as you climb the rungs of the ladder, there'll be like this band sounds like this band that's doing really successful. So you know, they're odds on to be more successful because it's like when they repeat TV shows and they repeat films and stuff.
Yeah,
there's a proven track record of this format working. So let's just repeat that and keep that going.
That's true.
Rather than throwing chance to the wind and.
Especially if you maybe if we were all sitting on top of a company that had a lot of money to spend and we would just go and do the same thing again.
Yeah, makes sense, doesn't it? You know,
sense.
But anyone who's like any artist out there, if you make it, they're all the best, innit?
Yeah.
I think it's how early they get found as well. It's
definitely.
Like
right
if
place, right
early,
time might be
exactly.
something to do with it.
If it's very early in their career, and then, like you say, right place, right time, if like an A&R comes to the gig and it's like your first 5 gigs and think, oh, these are going to be mega, let's pump all this money into them, then it's like it is just right place, right time.
Like that Oasis gig in Glasgow when Alan found him. He was there by chance, like perving on his ex-girlfriend, something, was it? He's been an absolute reprobate.
And
come across Oasis and he was like, hey, fuck me. Get these signed.
Yeah, and the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Let's talk about your 2024 because it kind of links in with you talk about the graft of what you've got to do. Okay, and you've got a big gig. Well, you're heading towards hopefully a big gig at the end of the year. What can you tell us about what you got coming up?
So I've been doing this solo project now for a year and a half, and over the course of that, I've released 4 singles. And now I'm lucky to say that I'm releasing my debut EP this summer.
Amazing.
I'll have 3 singles off it, and it's going to be a 4-track EP recorded with Alex Quinn out of Kempston Street Studios. He's a really nice guy and just a sick producer. I went and spent the week with him in Liverpool and created this sort of indie groove working class EP that's raw and funky and very exciting, to be fair.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's got. I'll send it to you, mate. I'll send it to you. It's all mastered and all ready to go. Same with you, Joe.
Nice.
So very excited with that. And then we've got some dates up and down the UK tied up with it. Hopefully some big supports, and we've got Glasgow again confirmed, exclusive. I don't think I've announced that yet. And yeah, just pushing on. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good year, mate. I think the band's in a good place, the writing's in a good place, and yeah, it's 1% a day, man. But yeah, it's going to be excitable.
That's a good way of working it. And what is that 1% every day? Is that just you? Obviously, you got to try and grab people and get them to listen to you and get them to come see you live. Is that you just getting into more and more people?
Yeah, definitely. I think more content's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Content's hard, mate.
Yeah.
You know, when it's good when you have shows because you can just film it all and get some like good behind the scenes footage and stuff. But sometimes, you know, you might have run out of that, and then sometimes I just sit in front of a camera and just talk to the camera, and you know, but it takes time, and then editing it takes effort and but. Obviously, it's all worth it in the end.
Worth it. And before and after, this sounds like that sort of grabbing the artist, obviously before they go on stage, and then after the rush, the adrenaline. Do artists find you to come down, or do you sort of get in touch with them and go, "Can I put on an event with you?"
It's a bit of both. It's a bit like we've got a lot of people coming to me saying, "Can you come to the gig, do it," and sort of thing. So it's kind of like a freelance sort of thing. We can do it at any gig, any promoter's gig, and obviously it helps when it's your own because you can kind of arrange it all a bit better. But it's just very free. It's cool. But when there's an artist I really like, and it's like you can see they're upcoming, and I believe in the music as well. It's like, well, I'd love to do it. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of reach out to them and so on and so forth, and we get people messaging us all the time and stuff like that. But I've made so many like contacts through it. Like I've become band manager of The Solution.
Yes, tell us about them.
From doing that, they're like a dark wave, like very influenced by 80s goth, but like with a modern twist. They're all really like proper rock and roll. Like you've got the frontman's mental on stage. It's like it's what you want. Like they got that right level of professionalism with a lot of rock and roll. So it's they're really really cool. But yeah,
we'll get them on definitely.
Yeah, defo. But through before and after, I saw like a mad video of them on stage. I was like, right, I'll need you to play.
Yeah. And
then obviously creating that, it's kind of become friends with them and stuff like that. So it's just really good networking with everyone, and it's just growing slowly but surely. Only just started last year, and yeah, work's coming out of our ears at the moment. Quality. So it's going well.
How do we keep up to date what you're doing then?
Instagram mainly. That's the main kind of social media we use because it's just a lot easier because we're like very picture based, promotional based. Like we use reels and stuff like that, and so Instagram.
Quality.
But yeah, it's going really well. I'm buzzing with it, absolutely buzzing with
Happy
it.
days.
Like just a little idea in uni is kind of grew legs and kind of ran. You know what I mean?
For it. Happy days. And
But
Kaiden, before we wrap things up, keeping up to date what you get up to. Is that the best place? Social media as well, and Spotify, Apple.
Yeah, Instagram's sort of like the safe haven in it. Instagram, TikTok, called Kaiden Nolan. I think is the name to all of them. I was going to ask you just before we wrap up. What are you on TikTok?
We've basically just made it. I've always had this big thing against TikTok myself, but I've kind of sold my soul a bit and was like, right, okay, let's just do it because it's like
dark art, mate.
I know,
TikTok's a dark art.
So we've just made that, and we've just interviewed the guest list as well, who have a massive TikTok following. So hopefully, just chipping away with that sort of thing. I'm going to get my mate to deal with that side of it because I just don't have a clue how to use it, to be honest with you. But yeah, we do have a TikTok.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
You find it easy or hard?
TikTok's like, I try not to go on social media anyway, but just out of habit, I always go on Instagram. And that's where like all everyone that I know is and stuff, whereas TikTok's like more, like you're just getting sent random stuff. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's
dodging,
a bit full on, isn't it?
Yeah, dodging people in shopping trolleys, going into canals and shit. All sorts
I
of
love
stuff.
it. Kaiden, thank you very much. Alex, thank you very much as well.
Thank
The
you,
descriptions for our panel will be in the description. And coming up next, we're going to speak to singer-songwriter Ellur. She's amazing. We had a chat a couple of moments ago, and you'll be able to hear that interview next. Hello, you. Are you enjoying this podcast? Brilliant. Do us a favour, make sure you hit the subscribe button below if you're watching on YouTube. If you are listening on Apple and Spotify, give us a little 5-star review and a follow. It really does mean the world to everyone who puts on this amazing pod. And we are going to be releasing weekly Will We Talk episodes for you. Welcome back to Will We Talk. We have got a very special guest with us today. She goes by the name of Ellur. She sits across me, looking wonderful. As the time of recording, a massive gig at New Century Hall later on today. But we've got lots to talk about, including new music, your own 2024. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
How have you been? You been all right?
Yeah, good.
Tell us a little about tonight, although I know it's already been and gone by the time this is out. But what are you getting up to later?
I'm going to be supporting Brooke Combe at New Century Hall with my band.
With your band. So tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know you got a tune coming out a couple of weeks back in January called Satellite, and I want to know a little bit about you and then your band as well. So if you start from, wherever, Ellur is spelled, obviously, people can see on it. Is this a sort of play words on your name, or how did the artist name come about?
Well, it's just how it's said in like a northern accent.
Yeah, love this.
Well, I'm really proud of where I'm from, so I'm like, okay.
And where is that? Where's home?
Halifax.
Mint.
But I just kind of wanted to pay homage to that and being northern and stuff, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you don't really see a lot of northern acts and northern artists and northern bands. There are a lot of them, but they're kind of not as talked about, I think. So I kind of wanted to like really drive home that. And yeah, I started writing songs when I was like, I don't actually know. I think I was probably about 11, maybe. Because I've wanted to do it since I was like tiny. I've wanted to be a performer, an artist, since I could walk pretty much. So I just started writing songs. They weren't very good. But
If it'd be unbelievable at 11 though if you came out with something like Wonderwall, wouldn't it? That'd be great. But still, are they anywhere, by the way, those songs?
Yeah, there's
I love this.
There's one that I recorded with my dad actually about my favourite motorway, which is the M62.
Brilliant, what a choice.
So it's just kind of me like being like, 10 or 11, like spouting gibberish, and my dad's like doing some mad shit on a synth.
I love
really
it.
Good. It's really
and
good.
You recorded it. What's it called? Is it called the M62?
I think we called it M62 on the road because that's just what I keep saying throughout the whole thing.
Is it your favourite motorway?
Yeah.
At the time I was a kid, I'm like thinking to myself, when was my first favourite motorway? The M60's all right, but you probably won't know that in Halifax. That just circles all the way around.
Right.
You ever been on the M1?
Yeah.
It's long.
Yeah, it's big as well.
Yeah,
It's kind of daunting. Like when you're driving, it's like, oof,
Too big.
it's too much.
I think the one that gets a lot of like, but needs to be total the M25 around London.
Yeah.
Too busy.
Yeah.
Hassle. You won't
Overrated.
get a good song. You won't get a good song about that.
No, exactly.
And when you write that and when you look back at that, you must have known from a young age that creativity was just and songwriting and doing what you do now is going to be part of your life.
Yeah, I think it's just because like it's such an outlet for me. It's kind of like I've always seen it as something that's me kind of taking a deep dive into what's going on in here. And you know, for a really long time I kind of only wrote songs about breakups and boys and whatever, because like it's kind of all I knew about. And then now I'm older, I'm starting to write about things that kind of mean different. I don't know, there's different meanings to like what I'm doing now and different things that are important to me. But yeah, it's really interesting to kind of see where there is like evidence of like, you know, where things started and where things are now, and I can kind of look back on stuff. And
when you, I guess, if you're constantly writing, there's lots of different things you write about.
mm-hmm.
Does the song that you like the most rise to the top because the melody and the tunes is there, or does it rise to the top because of the importance for you and maybe the significance it has on
I
what
think
you want
it's
to write
like it's weird, like because I try and write every day.
Yeah.
When I'm not, you know, busy doing something else. If I'm free, I'll be writing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like you just have like a gut feeling about certain songs. Some songs, like I hear like. Because I listen to Song Exploder, which is a podcast on Spotify about like basically artists and bands picking apart their biggest songs and talking about them, and I really love it because I love like hearing about all that. But they talk about like, oh, I've been writing this song for like 2 years.
Wow.
I'd like if I'm sat and I write a song and I think it's crap, I'll just bin it. Like I'd kind of don't really ruminate on it. So I don't know if that's just because I write so many and. Like 9 times out of 10, it's like, yeah, that's a shit song. But
for a 3-4 minute tune to spend 2 years on something, that must be a lot of like stop, start again, change this, change that.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose like there are songs where I've thought like especially recently, because I'm like in the middle of doing a lot of writing. I'm pretty like concentrated, like in a concentrated environment. So I am going back over stuff that like I wrote 1 year, 2 years ago. So maybe that's what they mean. Yeah. They just mean like, oh, I wrote it and then forgot about it, and then I'm revisiting it.
Tell us about the music you've brought out recently then.
So Satellites, I released a couple of weeks ago, and I wrote it with a writer-producer who's based in London called Dan Breyer.
Nice.
He's written with like Niall Horan and Tom Grennan.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a really brilliant writer. I've started doing a lot more like co-writing sessions just because I think being a solo writer, you can really get like caught up in stuff and get caught in your own head. And it's really nice to just like be given different perspectives and different techniques and ways out of situations, if you know what I mean, when you get a bit stuck. So I've started doing a lot more co-writing, and I wrote this with him. And we kind of just like, I just remember like sitting down with him and saying like, I've just had a really good week of writing. It was like the end of the week that we wrote it on the Friday. And I'd written with a couple of other people, and I was like feeling really positive, and I was just like, I really want to write like, you know, a song that's like really going to make me feel something, not like just now, but like in like 20, 30 years time, I want to still be singing it. There's a video of Joni Mitchell singing Both Sides Now with an orchestra when she brought out the orchestral version of like some of her songs in like 2000, and she's like, I don't actually know how old she is in it, but I think she's like, you know, older than 50 or whatever, and she's singing it with this orchestra. But she wrote that song when she was like 22 on an acoustic guitar, and it meant something like totally different to her, and then she can look back on it with all this, you know, retrospect, and it be a totally different song to her and to everyone else in the way that she performs it and stuff. Like that to me is like, that's what I want, like, you know,
that's a brilliant way to look at it, because some artists are like, they see their old work and they just sort of want to abandon it a little bit, but still having that, because you wrote that and it was what you wanted to write about that time, it should still be important to you. That's a mint way of looking at it.
I think like I've just always kind of had that perspective about everything, like even though I might not be able to relate to it right now, there might be a time when I can relate to it again. And that's like one thing I was kind of talking about earlier. Like I used to kind of just write songs because I was like, I want to write a song and I want to play it and I want to play it live. And a lot of my earlier stuff, it's like I just wanted to be a musician. Whereas now, every song I write, I'm like thinking about things like that, like the kind of intention behind it. And that's how you end up like with a body of work that you're not like looking back on like, oh God, I hate that.
When it comes to those co-writing sessions, what are they like? Because is there any like, would you be, especially if you're going to someone you've never met before, you're laying a lot out. It's like therapy in a way.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is my life. Hope you like it.
It's kind of like platonic speed dating. It's like really weird. I don't know. I'm a pretty open book with stuff.
Yeah.
Like I will not exactly like trauma dump, but I'll like walk in and be like, right, okay, this has happened. Let's fucking write a song
There's
about it.
roadworks on the M62.
Yeah, of course.
Nightmare.
Yeah. Do you know, like, it's kind of like I walk in and I know what we're doing, so there's no point holding back. There's been some sessions where I've thought like, okay, like maybe me and this person aren't gelling as well, but I'm kind of
what an interesting side to that. Do you have to carry that on?
yeah.
And you just have to work through it, or do you just sort of abandon that?
I think like because at the end of the day, like if you come out with a song, that's great, but especially like when you first met someone, you can't really be expected to come out with like a finished article every single time, and it's kind of like an unspoken agreement that's just like a thing. So you kind of go into it, and if it's like you come out with a song, that's great, but if not, like if I'm sat there thinking like this just isn't for me, I just kind of, you have to like switch off from it being about you as an artist and just finish the song.
Just get it sorted.
And then, cry about it later.
Do you ever think, have you ever come out and gone, well, that didn't work, but actually when I listen back to it, it's actually a pretty decent tune?
Yeah. There's been some times where I've thought like it might not be for me, but it's still a good song. Like whatever happened in that room, the tension and the kind of like this isn't working and this isn't working, still came out with like a cool song. But I'm kind of in the process of like figuring out what to do with those songs.
Well, that's what I often think when I hear someone like yourself say, I like to write every day, and you've got these amazing co-writing sessions. It must be quite difficult when there's pressures of like only bringing out a tune every now and again, working towards an album or an EP, but you've got to be so precious of what actually makes it to that album. Do you ever just want to just put everything out there? Yeah,
like I had a real kind of challenge to like just chill out with stuff. Like as soon as I'm like, right, this song's amazing, here's the music video, here's what I'm going to wear when we do this. You know what I mean? Like that's where my brain goes.
But that's excitement, isn't it?
Literally, like I'll be sat there finishing like writing a song, and like as soon as it's like, okay, it's connected with me, I get all the visual and everything, and it's been a real kind of thing of like, it'll come.
I had a film idea once, and I could see myself doing the Oscar speech for Best Picture.
Literally.
I jumped straight ahead to that. I'd probably say thanks to my mum and dad and all that.
Literally.
Because you get that excitement, didn't you? And you just run with it. But you have to sort of take a step back and breathe.
Yeah.
Does anyone in your life do that for you? Like help you out? Have you got like friends or management or band even?
My partner's really good at kind of like giving me perspective and like really just leveling me out with stuff. Like I can get really carried away with excitement or with anxiety about things, and he's really good at just being like, where are we now? What's going on right now? And helping me
Is he creative? Is he in a creative industry?
Yeah, he's really creative. He's not in a creative job, but like his personal life is really, really creative. He's like really musical, and he's got like this amazing music taste that I've just like
latched onto a little
bit. Like that was me. That wasn't you that introduced me to that band. Like,
So Satellites is out, and the rest of 2024. How does it sort of find shape already? I know we're in February now. Have we got stuff that we're excited about?
I might have something coming out in April.
Love it.
And then I've got a tour in May, which I've just announced.
Amazing. Go on, tell us about the tour.
It's my first headline tour.
Oh, class.
I've only ever done like 3 headline shows, and they've all been in Leeds. So I'm really excited to do some headline shows that I'm doing one in Leeds, which is I think there's only like 5 tickets left for that one, which is really cool.
That's brilliant.
And then I think then we're doing like London, and we're doing Manchester, we're doing the Lodge at Deaf Institute, which I've heard great things about. And I'm really excited. Like the performance element of being an artist is always something that's like been a really big thing for me. Like I was a theatre kid when I was young. Like I used to be in musicals all the time, and I used to like do dance classes and do all these big showcase things at the end of the year and stuff. So I've always been like not shy about being on stage. And And it's kind of where I really feel like I'm completely myself, because like I'm quite an anxious person. I'm
Okay.
quite socially anxious.
So as this is off stage, but
Mm-hmm.
once you get on it, things are
I'm on stage, I'm
change.
completely myself. It's really weird. It's like this, I'm so in the moment and like not thinking about, oh, should I have said that? And oh,
Yeah.
should I have done that? And like
Yeah.
whatever, and worrying about everything. I'm literally just like, here I am. There's people in the front that are smiling. Cool. This is a really cool job.
This is a really cool job. I hope it, yeah. Well, all the best for that 2024. But at the minute, Satellite is get onto that tune. Spotify, Apple, on everything in between. When we see you live on stage, what sort of show do we get? Do we get a mixture of old, new stuff? What is that like when you put together a set list?
I've just kind of like, because me and the band have been like working together for, I can't actually remember how long, like nearly 2 years?
2 years,
About
quality.
2 years. And they're like a session band, but they're like my band, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like they've been with me pretty much since like one of my first headline shows. And we just kind of like feel it out. Like the set's kind of like, because there's some songs like Satellites that's so downbeat, you kind of have to like peaks and troughs,
Like a
like think about it.
roller coaster
Yeah. We try and keep everything like kind of pretty upbeat,
Yeah.
because one of my favorite things about performing is just basically just jumping around and being really
Yeah,
energetic,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
know, so that side of it like I find really exciting. But yeah, there's some old stuff on there.
Yeah, when you write tunes, then do you ever think about, you know, maybe I should make this one a little bit more upbeat because I can then perform it on stage like a
Yeah.
yeah.
Like this is a really big thing that I found from doing co-writes, is like I really kind of enjoy the craft of it now as
Yeah.
well, rather than like just writing songs that kind of come out of nowhere and cool, like I'll send that off to my managers and see if they like it. It's more now, it's like, right, okay, I really want, this song is sounding to me like it's going to be like this, and because I want to be, you know, playing this massive stage in so-and-so area and whatever, I can imagine it here, and you know, the
Yeah,
band,
yeah.
and then the guitar's going to come in, and then we're going to have a moment. Like I really love like the kind of meticulous details and the
Yeah.
planning of it all and stuff. So yeah, definitely. But then sometimes it's like Satellites, for example.
Yeah.
I was saying like, I don't really want to like lean into this ballad side of myself, because that's how I started out. I started learning Adele songs and then going, these chords are nice. What about if I move them around? And then that's how I started writing songs. But then I've always tried to run away from that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be ballads. I don't want to
Yeah,
do
you
this. I don't want to do that. And like Adele's an amazing
Yeah,
artist and songwriter. And I think like, you know, sometimes a song doesn't have to be upbeat. But we were going to make that like a big indie track,
Nice.
Satellites, and then
So
it's
what did it-
just not that
Just
at all.
not get it. Maybe in what's ever coming up in April, keep your ear out. That's some of the stuff. Is everything done for April, or are you still writing?
No, it's like it's done.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the video's not done yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Ella, enjoy tonight.
Thank you.
I'm sure it was an amazing night. And thank you very much for coming in. And we'll hopefully see you around April way
Mm-hmm.
when we can discuss whatever it is.
Yes.
Whatever it is. Please go and into the description of this video, all the links to Ella, and where you can get her on Spotify and Apple for you to listen to. Have a wonderful rest of your week. What day are we on today? Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your week. What's your
Thank you.
plans? Tonight,
Just,
what are you doing tomorrow, Friday?
I'm gigging tomorrow in Leeds at Broodnell.
Lovely. You
And then Saturday I'm in Sheffield gigging as well.
Sheffield. Come
Yeah.
over this way more.
I know.
It's great fun.
I know.
Have you heard of Stockport?
I've never been to Stockport.
Right, everyone, we're going to leave it there. I'm joking. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure, if you're not already, subscribe to the channel below. Hit that little subscribe button. Put the bell on as well, because every single time we launch a video, you'll be able to get it. And if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, a lovely review would be wonderful. We'll be back next week with more artists and the panel joining us. We'll see you then.